If I could know about betrayal, he did. Not he the one who lost everything, but me now. My brother came to me with tears in his eyes. I'd never seen him cry before, not even when our dad passed. He said he was desperate, said his business was collapsing, and if he didn't get the money in 48 hours, he'd lose everything. His home, his trucks, his contracts, his staff, everything. I asked how much. He looked me in the eyes and said, $50,000. Not $50. 50,000. He wasn't just my brother. He was my best friend. We'd built everything together. He was at my wedding. I was there when his daughter was born. We weren't just close. We were bonded. So I gave him the money. No loan agreement, no contract, no terms, just a wire transfer that same night. He told me he'd pay it back in a few months. Said he was getting a big client deal and just needed to get past this rough patch. I didn't question it. I didn't even think twice. The money was from my house fund. I'd been saving for nearly a decade, every bonus, every holiday skip, every small promotion. I had this folder of pictures of my dream house, a white colonial with blue shutters and a wraparound porch. I showed it to him so many times over the years. He always said, "That's so you, man." He knew what that house meant to me. So when I gave him the money, it wasn't just financial. It was personal. I handed over a chunk of my future because I believed in him. After that, things went quiet. At first, I chalked it up to him being busy. He said he was working night and day to keep things afloat. I didn't want to stress him more by asking about the money. Weeks passed, then a couple months. I started to get nervous. Then something weird happened. I was scrolling Instagram one night and his wife posted a photo. It was a shot of a living room, but not just any living room. I recognized the fireplace. It was from that house, my dream house. I knew the layout by heart. I'd been stalking that real estate listing for months. I even saved the blueprint. That fireplace, the curved stone mantle, it was identical. I stared at the screen, heart racing. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I zoomed in. I saw a detail no one else would have caught. The little built-in shelf I always dreamed of putting my vintage record player on. It was my house, the one I had told him about again and again. The one I cried about missing out on after the listing went off the market 2 months ago. The one I couldn't afford anymore because I gave him every last cent. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't go straight to him. First, I tried to find the listing again. The house had been taken off the market weeks ago. I called the agent I'd originally spoken to when I was considering it. She remembered me right away. "Oh yeah, it sold pretty quickly after you passed," she said. I asked if she could tell me who bought it. She couldn't give me a name, privacy laws, but she did say something that stopped me cold. The buyer paid in full. No mortgage. Cash deal. Cash. $50,000 wouldn't cover the whole thing, but it could easily be the down payment. And my brother? He'd never had that kind of liquidity. Ever. I called my brother that night. I kept my voice calm. I asked how the business was doing. He said it was rough, but he was pushing through. I asked when he thought he might start paying me back. He hesitated, then gave some vague excuse about taxes and how the new year might free up cash flow. I nodded, even though I knew what I was really asking. Finally, I said, "Hey, I saw a photo your wife posted. That living room looks really familiar." Silence, then laughter. "Bro, you're being paranoid," he said. "It's just a similar layout. A lot of homes in that area look the same." He was lying. I knew it, but I didn't confront him, not yet. Instead, I called a friend in real estate, someone with access to public records. I gave him the address. He said he'd check ownership history and call me back. The wait nearly killed me. 2 days later, he sent me a screenshot. The buyer's name was right there in black and white. My brother. I stared at it for so long my eyes hurt. I remember feeling this weird stillness, like everything in my body had gone quiet. He didn't just take my money. He didn't just lie. He bought the house I was saving for and never said a word. I drove to his place that night. It wasn't even the house from the photo. He was still living in his old place, but his car was there. I rang the bell. He opened the door, surprised to see me. Before he could speak, I said, "You bought that house?" His face froze. He tried to play dumb, said something about investments, claimed he was helping a friend, even said, "You must have gotten the address wrong." But I wasn't wrong. I pulled up the screenshot, showed him his name on the deed. Then I asked him why. He looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You weren't going to buy it anyway." That sentence, it split something inside me. I didn't yell. I didn't hit him. I just turned around and left. And that's when the real unraveling began. I couldn't get that sentence out of my head. You weren't going to buy it anyway. Like I didn't matter. Like my dreams were disposable. Like I was just a placeholder for his convenience. I didn't tell anyone. Not right away. I was too humiliated. My brother, my own blood, had taken the house I talked about for years. The house I sent him links to. The one I couldn't shut up about for a decade. We used to joke about me finally hosting Thanksgiving in that kitchen. He didn't just steal money. He strategically waited. Waited until I couldn't buy it. Until the price was just out of reach. Until my savings were in his pocket. That's what hit the hardest. He knew. He timed it. But then something else happened that sent me spiraling deeper. A few days later, I got a text from an old friend, Marco. We'd all grown up together, me, Marco, and my brother, tight since high school. We played football together, shared dorms, grew into our careers alongside each other. So when Marco texted me out of nowhere, I didn't expect it to trigger the next collapse. He sent me a photo and a message that said, "Thought you were getting this place? Looks like someone beat you to it." I clicked the photo. It was my brother, standing in the driveway of my dream house, arms slung around the realtor, sunglasses on, grinning like he just won the lottery. And the caption? "Congratulations to my favorite repeat investor. Enjoy your new family home." That word, investor, didn't sit right. Neither did repeat. I felt like the air left my lungs. Repeat investor? What repeat? He told me he was barely keeping his business alive. Told me he was weeks from losing everything. Begged me to help him stay afloat. I thought the $50,000 I gave him went to payroll, inventory, or keeping the lights on. But he didn't just survive. He was flourishing. I called Marco immediately. What do you mean by beat me to it? How did you know I was even looking at that place? He sounded genuinely confused. Your brother told me months ago. He said you'd seen the place, but you were traveling a lot and he wanted to take care of the deal for you. Said it was going to be a surprise gift, like a thank you or something. My stomach dropped. I was quiet for too long. Marco asked if I was okay. I told him I'd call him back. He didn't just lie to me. He created a cover story to others that made it look like I was part of the plan. Like he was the hero, and I was the fool. I felt like my skin was buzzing. My thoughts were racing too fast to catch. I opened my laptop and went back to the county website. I dug into the records like a man possessed. I searched his name over and over, plugging it into different counties nearby. Real estate listings, transfers, mortgages. And that's when it all cracked open. My brother hadn't bought one house. He had bought 3, all in the past 6 months. One was a low-end property in a town 30 minutes away, probably a fixer-upper. Another was in a resort area already listed on Airbnb under a shell company tied to his name. And the third, the one I dreamed about for years, the one he pretended was an act of generosity, the one he knew I couldn't afford anymore because I gave him the money to buy it. But I still wanted to believe deep down that maybe he really was planning to surprise me, that it was all some elaborate misunderstanding. That flicker of hope was crushed the next morning, because when I went to get coffee, I saw someone who changed the course of the entire story. Her name was Daniela. She used to work for my brother's company as an assistant manager. We'd only met a few times, but she always remembered me. Said I reminded her of the real version of my brother, whatever that meant. She greeted me warmly, then said, "Hey, crazy question. Did he ever give you back that money?" I blinked. "What money?" "The $50K. He said you fronted him a big investment for the house he's flipping, the one in Lancaster." I didn't want to ask at the time, but I saw your name on some emails he left open once, and then it disappeared. My blood ran cold. "What emails?" She hesitated, then shrugged. "He had a folder, like a tracking sheet. It had names, numbers, investment amounts. I only saw it once, but your name was at the top. I remember because it said house fund next to it. I asked her to meet me later and show me anything she still had. She agreed. That night, she brought a flash drive. I don't even know how she had it or why she kept it, but what was on it shattered any remaining doubt. It was an Excel sheet titled Soft Targets Expansion Fund. I was the first name. Next to it, investment $50,000. Status, closed. Outcome, secured property. Target unaware. There were 8 other names on that list. Some labeled pending, some closed, some repeatable. One had a note beside it. Test trust limit. Promise % return. Delay. Flip. This wasn't family. This wasn't business. This was a system. He was playing everyone, using relationships, personal, romantic, professional, as a blueprint for manipulation. And I was the first case study. The horror of it all wasn't just that he took something from me. It was that he planned to. Coldly. Deliberately. Like I was just an account to be drained. I didn't know what to do next. I just sat on my couch for hours, staring at the screen, watching the blinking cursor like it was taunting me. He used me, and he wasn't done. Because if he had built this much with my money, I had to wonder who else had he bled dry. What else was he hiding? It was time to stop being quiet. I wasn't just going to reclaim my money. I was going to burn down the empire he built out of betrayal. I barely slept that night. I just sat in the dark, watching that Excel sheet over and over. Soft targets. Expansion fund. Target unaware. That one line, that was my whole life. I thought I was helping my brother survive. Turns out I was just entry number 1 in a game he'd been playing longer than I realized. By morning, the rage had settled into something sharper. Focus. I printed the entire file, highlighted everything. Names, dollar amounts, timelines. I didn't just want to expose him. I wanted to understand how far this went. How many lives he had quietly gutted while smiling to their faces. I started calling people on the list. Carefully. Some numbers didn't work. Others didn't answer. But then I got a call back from someone I hadn't spoken to in over a year. Ben. He used to be a team lead at my brother's company. Quiet guy, loyal. He'd been fired out of nowhere. My brother said it was due to performance issues. I never thought much about it until now. Ben's voice was cautious at first. "You said this is about money?" I said I wasn't recording and I just needed the truth. He told me everything. "I gave him 20 grand, Ben said. He told me it was to expand into tech rentals, short-term leasing, like tablets and drones for events. Said I'd be a partner. Signed some agreement that sounded impressive. But then he started ghosting me. Did he ever mention any return deadlines? He said within 6 months I'd have triple back. That was a year and a half ago. Ben still had the emails, the agreement, even screenshots of payment receipts. He wasn't just a random victim. He was case number 3 on the list Daniela gave me. Same file, same timestamp. Now I had 2 people, myself and Ben, with proof. I met with my lawyer the next day. He reviewed everything. His face grew more serious the deeper he scrolled. "This isn't just a case of unpaid loans," he said. "This is premeditated. It's fraud, plain and simple." I asked what we could do. "If you're willing to go public, we can launch a civil suit, possibly get others to join. But you need to prepare for pushback. If he's as manipulative as this file shows, he's going to fight hard." I was ready, but I had no idea what was coming next. That weekend, I went to visit my parents. They'd been asking to see me, said I'd been distant. I wasn't sure how much they knew or how much they believed. But when I sat down in the kitchen and told them everything from the $50,000 to the house, the Excel sheet, the other victims, they sat frozen. My mom's first words were, "That can't be true." My dad didn't say anything at first. He just stared at the floor. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. cold. He told us you gave him the money to invest. What? He said you had extra saved and wanted to help him expand, that you were involved in the whole plan. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So you're telling me not only did he steal my savings, my house, and lie to everyone, but he also told you that I was a willing investor? My mom's face twisted into something between fear and shame. He made it sound so normal, like you two were building something together. I pulled out the spreadsheet and shoved it across the table. I pointed to my name. Target number 1. My mom put her hand over her mouth. My dad looked like he was going to be sick. I stood up and said, you need to choose who you believe now, because I'm not protecting him anymore. The next unexpected twist came just a few days later, and it hit me in a way I didn't see coming. I got a message request on Facebook. It was from Talia, my ex-girlfriend's best friend. We hadn't spoken since the breakup. I almost deleted it out of instinct, but the message preview stopped me cold. Hey, I don't know how to say this, but I think you should know who your brother's been seeing. I opened it. She sent screenshots, photos, one from 3 months ago, my brother and my ex holding hands outside a wine bar, another at a holiday dinner, his holiday dinner. My ex was sitting next to my mom wearing my mom's necklace, the one I gave her years ago. The caption said, family means everything. I felt like the world stopped moving. All this time, while I was struggling to save for our future, planning a proposal, wondering what went wrong, she'd been with him. She left me and walked straight into his arms. No wonder she cut off contact. No wonder she disappeared. But the part that broke me? She knew about the house. I had shown her the blueprint, the photos. I'd sat with her at 1 a.m. talking about where we'd place the nursery, the garden she wanted to grow. She didn't just help him steal my money. She helped him steal my dream. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I went quiet, collected everything. The new photos, messages, the financial proof, the victim's statements. Then I sent one email to everyone on that list. I didn't threaten or accuse. I just shared the truth, the file, the breakdown, what I had found. I invited them to contact my lawyer confidentially if they had experienced something similar. Within 48 hours, 5 people responded. 2 had given him money. 1 was ghosted after investing in a business. Another was a woman who said she had been dating him until she found out he had also been seeing her cousin. And the 5th, a man named Jared. He didn't just invest. He co-signed for one of the properties, the Airbnb. And my brother? He defaulted. The debt hit Jared's credit. He lost his car. Now it was real. We weren't just victims. We were evidence. My lawyer began drafting a formal suit. He said if the numbers reached a certain point, criminal charges could follow, especially if forged documents were involved. But I wasn't done yet. There was one more thing I had to do. I drove to the dream house, the one I used to imagine raising a family in. I parked across the street, watched as my brother walked out the front door with her, my ex. She kissed him on the cheek, handed him a coffee, and for a moment I almost let it go, until I saw what was hanging on the front door. A brand new sign, private investment property, no trespassing. That's when I realized what he'd been doing this whole time. He wasn't building home. He was building illusion. He built an empire using trust as currency. And now, it was time to burn it all down, legally, publicly, completely. And the fire hadn't even started yet. The day after I saw my ex at the dream house, our dream house, I stopped thinking of this as a betrayal. It was something else entirely. This wasn't about pain anymore. It was war. And I wasn't the only one ready to fight. My lawyer officially filed the civil suit, not just for the $50,000 he took from me, but as a class action, with the other victims joining in. By then, we had 7 people backing the case, and at least 3 more we were still collecting proof from. Fraud, breach of trust, financial deception, real estate manipulation, possibly identity misuse. The charges were stacking fast. And then something unexpected happened. Someone leaked the story. I still don't know who did it, whether it was a disgruntled former investor, one of the girls he used, or even someone in my brother's own circle who'd finally had enough. But once it hit a local blog, it went everywhere. The article was titled, Self-Made Mogul or Serial Con? New lawsuit accuses local investor of manipulating friends, family, and lovers into funding his real estate portfolio. There were no names at first, but people knew. Anyone who had ever met us, worked with him, or followed our family online immediately connected the dots. I watched it unfold in real time. First came the silence, our group chats, social threads, and old high school friends suddenly not posting anymore. Then the texts, is this about your brother? OMG, I thought he was a genius investor. Wait, didn't he buy your house? And then the calls from people I never expected. One was from a woman named Kate, a local financial planner. She told me flat out. He asked me to help him manage investor capital. Said he had a network of friends happy to lend with no string. I said no, but I still have the proposal he sent. She emailed it. It was practically a pitch deck listing his closest friends and family as seed contributors for his real estate empire. And next to my name, primary backer, $50,000. Strategic entry property. I stared at that line for 5 minutes straight. I wasn't just a victim. I was his foundational lie. Then came the media call. A local news station reached out, said they'd seen the blog post and wanted an anonymous interview. At first, I declined, but then I thought of the other people, the ones who hadn't spoken up yet, the ones he might still be charming, manipulating, draining. I said yes. They blurred my face, changed my voice. I told my story piece by piece. The money, the trust, the dream house, the ex, the list, the fraud, and then I dropped the bomb. I showed them the Excel file. The anchor's face actually changed on camera. When the segment aired 2 days later, my inbox exploded. Not just sympathy, more victims, a teacher, a single mom, a business client, even a therapist he saw for stress. They all had the same story. He borrowed money, promised returns, got personal, then disappeared. Every single time. I gave them my lawyer's contact info. At this point, it wasn't even about money anymore. It was about shutting him down. Then the biggest twist of all came. I got a call from a real estate agent. I didn't know, someone from another county. She said she had a property listed that had recently been sold in cash through a trust, one tied to my brother. She didn't think much of it until she recognized the name of the co-owner listed on the filing. She emailed me the doc, and when I opened it, I nearly dropped my phone. It was her name, my ex. He wasn't just using her for a love story cover. He was putting everything in her name. The trust, the Airbnb property, even the fixer-upper we originally thought was his solo project, all tied to her. And just when I thought that was the worst of it, my lawyer confirmed something else. She is now legally liable for every property under her name, which, according to these documents, is all of them. She wasn't a co-conspirator. She was the fall girl, and she had no idea. It all made sense now. The fake proposals, the off-the-record deals, the vanishing returns. He'd used her and everyone else, not just for money, but for legal insulation. If everything crashed, it wouldn't be his signature on the line. It would be hers. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to tell her, warn her, but the other part of me, the one still bleeding from what they did to me, couldn't bring myself to make that call. She helped him steal my dream house. She helped him build the story that buried me. And now, she was holding the match without knowing she was already on fire. The very next day, I received an anonymous package at my apartment. No return label. Inside was a single USB and a note. Thought you should see this. He's done worse than you think. I plugged it in, heart racing. It was a folder of videos, audio files, screenshots. Apparently, my brother had recorded conversations with several of the people he'd scammed, including me. One of them was from the night he asked for the $50,000. In the audio, he practiced the story 3 times. Okay, so I say payroll's late. I say contracts are falling through. No, say it's vendor delays. That sounds more real. Don't mention the house until later. He was rehearsing, like a script, like a con artist. Then I found another video, a screen recording from his laptop. He was showing someone the soft targets sheet, talking casually about how people want to believe in you when you're family. He laughed. That laugh, it broke something in me I didn't even know was left. I called the lawyer immediately. I have something else, I said. This changes everything. He agreed. The criminal case was now moving forward. And my brother? He was nowhere to be found. He had vanished. No phone, no email. The properties sat frozen. The ex? She hadn't seen him in over a week, and now she was calling my lawyer, crying, asking what to do. I didn't answer, because I had one more move left, and it was the one thing he didn't plan for. My lawyer called, said the authorities had picked up on the public post, that they'd officially opened an investigation. Multiple civil suits were forming. People I didn't even know were now coming forward with claims, former clients, friends, even one of our old high school teachers. This is going to get ugly, he said. I thought we were prepared, but then I got a text from an unknown number. It's gone. Everything. You happy now? At first, I thought it was spam, until my phone rang again. It was my dad. His voice was quiet, serious, almost shaking. There was a fire. I didn't need to ask where. The house he stole. The one I spent 10 years saving for. The one he posed in, grinning like he earned it. It was gone. Not damaged. Not partially burned. Leveled. Ashes. Smoke. Charred skeleton beams. Concrete cracked from heat. Nothing but twisted metal and silence. They said it was fast. Too fast. The early reports said there was no storm, no faulty wiring, no known gas leaks. Investigators already suspected something deliberate. It didn't take long to confirm. It wasn't an accident. I drove out to see it with my own eyes. I stood across the street and looked at the smoldering shell of what used to be my dream. That iconic wraparound porch? Gone. Blackened stumps. The custom fireplace I designed on paper? Collapsed into molten stone. The swing I always said I'd install for my future kids? Now just 2 rusted chains dangling over nothing. And they, my brother and my ex, were gone too. Vanished. No forwarding address. No contact. Not even a social media trail. Just gone. And then came the twist that ripped the breath from my lungs. 2 weeks after the fire, my lawyer received a letter from the county office. A quiet ownership change had been filed just days before the fire. My brother had removed himself from the deed. He left it in her name. Sole owner. Sole liability. Sole target. That's when everything clicked. He knew. He saw the lawsuits coming, saw the charges building. And instead of facing it, he wrote his own ending, one where he vanished and she burned. All the property damage, the lawsuits, the investigations, all of it was on her now. Insurance fraud? Her name. Arson suspicions? Her house. Reparations to investors and victims? Her debt. He didn't just escape. He scripted his exit. I stared at the final document for hours. His signature wasn't on it. Not anymore. He was already gone. And here's the part that chilled me to my core. At the bottom of the file, under reason for ownership transfer, he had written one sentence. Just one. Gifted for love and legacy. That was it. A legacy built on betrayal and finished in flames. I wish I could say justice was swift, that he was dragged into court, that he was forced to look every person he lied to in the eyes and admit what he'd done. But people like him, they don't get caught. They disappear. He's gone. No digital footprint. No financial trail. Bank accounts emptied. Properties dissolved. Shell companies closed. Some say he left the country. Others think he changed his name. No one really knows. But I know this. He didn't disappear in panic. He disappeared on purpose. He planned every step. He set fire to the life he built from lies, not to destroy it, but to erase the evidence. To leave behind only smoke, silence, and the woman he used as his shield. He didn't just steal my house. That fire wasn't an ending. It was his escape plan.